For the past 10 years, I've written down the best lead generation ideas for real estate agents, and I wrote 2 best-selling books with some top producing agents, friends of mine, that has most of them in it, and I'll tell you about that book a little bit later. And today, Charles Ramsey is with me because we're going to talk about the best lead generation ideas, but also the worst ones. I think this is going to be a really fun episode as we talk about the smartest and dumbest lead generation ideas real estate agents have done. So sit tight, get a notepad out, write down the do's and don'ts that are about to be shared with you, as this episode is definitely going to make you more money and save you some money and have a laugh, hopefully, at some of these dumb ideas that agents have done. If you don't know me, my name is Findlay-Shirras. I've helped thousands of agents gross now over 1.5 billion was the last number. I kind of stopped counting in commissions from my lead generation strategies to help them grow their business. I've also been a service professional. I've made 6 figures, did it in a really short period of time, getting started. My first year was like, I want to make some money, and I've made a bunch of money trying different things out, seeing what worked. And I also built Canada's largest mobile fitness franchise, teaching other professionals how to grow their business. So that's a little bit about me, because I don't know if I did a bio in the first time that we had our podcast. Charles has been in the real estate industry for a long time. You guys got to know him on the first episode, but as he shares his wisdom, you're going to see why I have him on the show to talk to you about some of the best and worst ideas. But let's get into it. And I'll start with the dumbest one. I want to lead with the dumbest idea I have ever heard. And we'll ping pong back and forth. And Charles, you can maybe tell me if you've had an agent do this. So when I was in Toronto, I worked with lots of agents. And there was this one agent, I'm not going to name her name. And so I was working with her, and we were talking about, I said, listen, like as your coach, like come talk to me and share your ideas, as it comes across. Yeah, we're gonna see some background imagery. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're gonna see some weird.
I thought it was going to be a man doing it.
There was a nursing sign on the back door, so clearly I'm in a weird place. And so this agent, I would always tell my agents, I was like, look, like if you're ever thinking about spending money, come talk to me. I'll give you my 2 cents. I've seen so many things go right and wrong for agents. This agent did not consult me, and I was in my monthly catch up, and I said, so how's it going? She says, oh, I'm so excited. I'm gonna get so much business with this new thing I bought. I said, really? You didn't tell me before you bought it. And I said, what is it? She's like, I just spent $35,000. Okay, so that's a tip off right there of like, what the hell costs $35,000 that an agent, like upfront, that an agent should spend money on? Even Facebook ads and Zillow ad, like that doesn't even cost $35,000 in 1 month. So she said, I just spent $35,000 so I could have 4 showings of a 30-second ad on the largest CP24, which is Toronto's news network. And I was like, really? She's like, I'm going to get over 1 million people watching it. I said, really? You're going to have over 1 million people watching your ad? She said, that's what they told me. I said, of course, that's what they told you. And I said, my goodness. I was like, and I was like, all right, well, this ad better be amazing. She's like, I've already filmed it. And I said, really? In the last month, you've already figured out how to film a $35,000 ad? Because this better be good. She says, yes, you want to watch it? I said, absolutely, I want to watch it.
Did it have a chimpanzee in it?
Oh my goodness, worse, because a chimpanzee at least would have gotten people's attention. And I this is not a disrespect to anyone who is an immigrant. My parents are immigrants, so like I love immigrants. These people they were her clients, so she got her past clients to go on a 30-second ad and give their testimonial. That was the ad, just a testimonial And these people are definitely ESL from some part of Asia. Probably wonderful, super nice people, but not the best people for an ad because they can't speak English. And it was filmed on a phone for 35. I'm like, if you're going to spend $35,000 for the ad placement, you pretty much also have to plan to spend another probably thousands, maybe $10,000 on the best freaking ad that's ever happened ever.
Yeah.
To make this thing even work. And she didn't. She shortchanged on the ad. Like, I don't think anyone should have done this in the first place. Like, I don't think this ever makes sense.
No.
And lo and behold, did she get any clients from it? No. And therefore, was she in the business next year? No. She ran out of money and had to go get a job. And I see this happen all the time where agents waste so much money on dumb things. And I'm like, my God, I can't believe you did this. This has to be the dumbest idea I've ever heard.
You get hit up so many times. Once you have a little bit of success, it just gets worse. I get calls, texts, emails, probably up to 10 times a day. I think that was my max. Hey, we can make you rich. It's just the cost of one deal. What's the chance that this won't generate one more deal? It's like, pretty good. pretty high. And in fact, one pro tip that I have is that if you think about the time it takes to stop what you're doing and consider every deal that gets pitched to you every day, no matter what you're in the middle of doing, I mean, it's really distracting. And so I like to focus in. It's taken me years to stop chasing shiny squirrels, but yeah, working with you, Grant, is one of my main things. I've got like 5, and that's it. And and it's so nice because it's so refreshing. It's like, instead of thinking, oh my God, should I do this? Let me research it for a week, check and see if the people are good. Like, are they going to do what they say they're going to do? Should I talk to their past clients? Instead, I'm just like, next, or no. Just no. So
that right there is a tip for agents is don't, like, your goal is to check all the boxes. There's all these boxes to check when it comes to building your business and the marketing, advertising, sales, prospecting side in terms of brand exposure, brand awareness, building your brand equity and trust, and then generating leads, buyers, sellers, building your online presence, your offline presence, like community presence, like all these things. And so it's like, how can you check all those boxes in as few companies as possible?
Right.
And then once you do, stop looking and hang up the phone and
go deep.
And just go deep and make all those things work, because like so many companies out there are great and they work for lots of agents, but only if the agent works it, and the agent doesn't work it because they're so busy freaking looking for the next shiny object. And it's like, just find 3 to 5 things, maybe, ideally 2 to 3 things that check all the boxes, and then just go.
For me, I have this thought in my head that is a constant. That's let's stay married to this amazing woman that took a long time to find. We've been together for 25 years, and you see that bumper sticker, like, what would Jesus do? I'm like, what? But for me, it's like, how do I stay married? And like, giving money to companies and losing it is not a good way to stay married. So I have worked my tail off to just get to a break even, so that these ridiculous things that I signed up for at least get me one extra deal that I can point to and say, look, I didn't lose any money. I had to work an extra 80 hours this year because I was so stubborn that I was going to make this thing work. I could have just been lead gen in a much easier way with people that know and trust me and have friends that will know and trust me. But can I jump in with a lead gen?
So you want to go dumb, you want to go smart?
You decide, because it's pajama related, but it worked in the long run. So I had a house on my street that was killing me. It was sitting empty. It was stucco. It was old stucco, so it was moldy. Like you could look in the window. It was vacant for years. Look in the windows, you can see the mold on the walls. It was just like creeping me out, and it's like 4 houses down from where I live. So I researched, found out that the guy who lived there also was a chain smoker like you've never seen before. So when I finally got access to the house, it was just like hard to be in. Even though it had been vacant for years, it had yellow nicotine stains on the walls. It was phenomenal. But anyway, I figure out where this guy lives. He moved in with his girlfriend in a town near Portland. And I think, well, I'm going to make him an offer. I'll buy it. I'll sell it to some builder. They'll tear it down. Win-win. So I write up an offer. I don't get around to it because it's my personal life. I'm focused on clients primarily, and then my wife and kids, and then my fun stuff, and that's in the category. Flips for me are fun. So I've been driving around for like a week. I finally decided, like, I'm going to take this offer, and I'll put it in his mailbox. I don't want to bother him. It's early in the morning. I just dropped off my kids, and I was running late like normal, and I was in my pajamas. So not just any pajamas, but like, is it Hannah Anderson? They got like these red and white stripy, ridiculous looking Where's Waldo kind of pajamas. So I'm driving around, and I think, well, I'll just sneakily pop this in his mailbox. Sure enough, he's in his front yard. Like, no chance that he hasn't already seen me when I pull up. He's watering his lawn, but the saving grace, he's wearing his pajamas. So I'm like, well, okay, that's, better than him wearing a suit. So I get out, and he's like surprised and has no idea what I'm doing or how insane I am. And we laugh about it. And I talk about wanting to give him an offer and that I'm his neighbor in a way. And he said to me, and I don't know if I'll ever forget this because it made such an impression. He said, "You have no idea how many suits have bothered me with offers." He hadn't even seen my offer yet. And he's like, "I'm working with you. You're the one." I'm like, yes. So I think it's dumb, but it's also smart. It's like, the takeaway for me was be authentic, right? I was late. People run late. I was wearing my pajamas. People do that. I have kids that need to get to school on time. That's my priority in the morning, not changing into a suit to look good. So yeah, the other option would have been to not give him the offer, go home, put on a suit, come back and get rejected because I'm wearing a suit, right? I had no idea how this guy was wired, and you can't know that, but you can be yourself. And now I feel like I'm in my legacy years. I'm looking for people that are looking for me, right? And it makes it so much easier. I'm not trying to convince someone who's not looking for me that they should be, or that I'm the right person when they are looking for someone wearing a $10,000 suit. Like, I don't own a $10,000 suit. So next, it's just,
It's very true that the best marketing, advertising, sales pitch, like all these different techniques, if it's a copy and paste from a person who's not you,
yeah,
you won't execute it well like they do. Like something that works for an agent doesn't
even if you do,
necessarily work for you. And something that doesn't work for an agent might actually work for you because
yeah,
you are you. An agent, it's scary to lean into who you are because there's imposter syndromes and there's, fear of failure and fear of criticism. And, I'm trying
rejection.
to, especially if you're new to the industry, you don't even know what good is. But the cool thing is, you can't mess up you. And if you can figure out how to build a business being you, that's way more sustainable and enjoyable.
Yeah,
And so then it's not only does it work better because people can resonate with it, and then people won't resonate with it, but that's okay because they're not your ideal clientele. The people who do will choose you because you're you and you align with them, and then it's a great working relationship because it's built on real and authenticity.
Right.
Versus
that's what I look
like
for.
a fake facade that you're putting on that you have to continue to then put on,
right,
potentially with that client that thought you were this kind of person.
Right.
That becomes challenging.
I fled from South Carolina when I was 15. Basically, I didn't like the bigotry, but I also didn't like that people were pretending to be perfect. And I knew they weren't, right? I knew some of these people pretty well, and they, like, in public, they look amazing, but it wasn't sincere. And the trouble is, even if you pull that off, you end up with a bunch of people, friends and clients who don't actually know you. So it's got to be lonely. So I gave up on that long ago.
I'll piggyback on that, what you said there. and the idea of being you. Now, what that doesn't mean is to not improve you.
Right.
And I think one of the best investments an agent can make to help them get more business and close more sales, and especially close more conversations, convert more conversations into leads, into referrals, and have higher conversion rate on their listing presentations and buyer consults, is because they themselves are a better business owner. So
Right.
investing in yourself, investing in personal development, investing in public speak, in your ability to public speak, your ability to negotiate, your ability to sell, your ability to build rapport, all these, and if you want to be a team leader, broker owner, investing in your ability to be a leader, to communicate with different types of personalities. Like, these are all investments of time and typically money, because you got to pay for a course, you got to pay for a coach, you got to pay for a mentor, you got to pay to be a part of a community that helps you learn these skills. But people can tell, like, it's so easy for me to meet an agent and just I can tell their confidence level. Which therefore bleeds into their competence. Like,
Right.
confidence in real estate bleeds into competence. You can't be unconfident and competent.
Right. And then
You have to be.
success.
Yeah, and then that leads to success. And so to invest in, because we help agents create content, create videos, create blogs, become an expert in their community. Like, the
Mm-hmm.
whole premise of my business is to help agents, instead of just saying I'm number one in this area, asterisk, 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 which is a bad idea that everyone
Yeah.
sees through, is actually be the expert. And how do you be the expert? You're creating content about the area. You're publishing news and events and about the businesses, the schools, the people, the demographics, the market, as well as the real estate information. And you're interviewing the local people in the area, and you're demonstrating that you are well liked, well connected, you're an expert in the area. And when you do that work, when someone's talking to you about, I'm thinking about buying and selling in this area, there's now this confidence internally of like, I know this area. I'm really good at this area. And you can't fake that confidence that comes from the knowledge and experience and prep work that you've done over the
Right.
months and years to be the expert.
Right. Right.
And when you have and exude that confidence, people are drawn to you. When they talk to you, they're like, oh, you just seem like you're a really good agent, and I want to hire you. I want to
Mm-hmm.
refer you. Because there's so much of real estate that's just like, you're having conversations that have nothing to do with real estate, but because you carry yourself in a certain way, people then just are like, you seem like a really great person, a really great professional, and I want to hire
Yeah.
you down the road. I want to refer you to my friend, even if I've never used you.
Right.
And that happens all the time. It's the majority of real estate. And so how do you get to be that person? It comes from investing in self-development and in coaching and mentorship.
Yeah. I would add generosity to that, giving back. I think of all the, I don't think of it as a lead gen idea. It didn't come up on my notes when I was, jotting down some ideas for this podcast, because it's not in that category. I don't do it to make money, right? I do it because it makes me feel good, gives me purpose, and the people that I connect with as a result, it's much, much deeper. I don't know if it's hard to quantify like how much of this plays into getting chosen for a listing, but I know that it plays a major part. So I always like to talk about how real estate is going, how I would like to see it develop and go in the future, and the opportunities we have to give back. So when you get paid as a realtor, you're rich for a day, right? You get this big chunk of change. It's not eking out over time. It's like bam, bam. And why not give back when it doesn't, almost like psychologically, it costs you nothing to give $100, $200, $400 out of a big commission on day one. 2 weeks later, if you're not doing consistent business and you've spent all that and now you're feeling broke again, that's a different problem. But I would say that by being generous, it enables you to use real estate as a vehicle. And if you find other generous potential clients, like you're interviewing with someone and you ask them like, hey, do you have a charity or nonprofit or some cause that you would like to be able to support at a higher level? And I've had reactions to that. People are bewildered, like, I don't give a penny to anybody. I can't even think of someone I'd want to give a penny to. I'm like, that's not a good sign, right? That's maybe going to be a challenging client. Maybe they're going to ask you to negotiate in a way that's unrealistic or just blatantly unfair. I don't refuse to take clients who are not generous, but I definitely make a note, and it's a red flag. And that's pretty much everything folds into lead gen, because that I would say that that's my next point: choosing the right clients, choosing clients that match with you, choosing clients that know how to make a decision, they trust you. Like if someone talks to me for an hour and they don't trust me, or they're treating me like they're afraid I'm some used car salesman with a secret agenda, and I'm not honest with them, I'll just flat out say, I'm like, honestly, if you're not trusting me right now after we've spoken for an hour, that's a red flag for me, and I'm not sure we're the best match. And if people either get offended and they're like all huffy and that's the end of it, or they're like, no, oh wait. Because you wouldn't say that if you were not a trustworthy person, right? It's like, I'm not scrounging for every client. That's one of the biggest lead gen mistakes I have ever seen, is that when you're new, you think, I can't afford to turn down anyone. So I'll work with the craziest, most unrealistic, not evolved people who don't know what they want, don't know how to make a decision, and all they want is like everything they can possibly get for themselves, no matter how unreasonable. It's like, no, you can spend months of your time wasting 100% of it trying to fix somebody so that they're in shape to actually close a deal. That's, I mean, God bless you if that's your calling. That used to be my focus, and helping people that no one else would help. But it costs a lot. It will steal your soul, and it gets in your head. So you got to be careful who you're hanging out with. And they say choose the top 5 people you can possibly find, and always upgrade them whenever you can, and you'll learn more from them. Don't choose people who are worse than you to learn from. Choose people who are better than you and learn everything you can, right? So the same thing is, you're spending hours and hours and hours with clients. Choose the best clients you can, and your whole life will change as a result.
Reciprocity and indifference. Those are two things that you talked about there that were on my list. And I think we can actually go deep into some smart and dumb ideas.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So giving. So absolutely, giving is a way to stimulate reciprocity. Now, it's not a conditional form of giving, but it is well known. It's scientifically proven. This is why agents should do it unconditionally, because it's scientifically proven in North America that the number one form of influence is reciprocity, which is you scratch my back, I want to scratch. I naturally, as a human being, if you do something for me, I now want to do something for you.
Right.
And so then there's so many ways of giving that don't even cost any money, but you're giving something. We'll go into that in a sec. And then what you said right there is the indifference element. Okay. And I love that, because indifference is a well-known sales technique that you have to show your potential prospect that you don't need their business. You want their business.
Right.
But you don't, if it is this way, but you don't need it. And as soon as, which is very hard if you don't make any money and you're new, but you have to learn the skill of indifference, which is, hey, if we're not going to work like this together, then that's okay. You can go find someone else to work with. And what you demonstrated was how you do that. So it's really great. That's basically a technique of like, hey, if within an hour we're not already talking about next steps and moving forward, then that's okay. It shows that maybe I'm not the right fit and you don't trust me, and maybe you should go work with another agent. And by me saying that to the prospect, it actually elevates my status, shows indifference, which makes them more likely to be like, wow, a really great professional would say this. A bad professional would be trying to sell me, and convince me.
Right.
And so that's a really cool technique to convert leads and acquire clients. And then the giving, which I think we can go into because I have some good and bad giving, right? Agents do some weird things that they think is giving. And I go, that's a weird thing to give someone. And that's a good thing to give someone. And so I'll lead with what I think is dumb things agents give people. Okay, because this one's fun and funny. So there's a lot of talk on like closing gifts, and this is where it gets into closing gifts and like things to give people. And this goes back to who you are as a person. And I don't think not is unless you're like a Japanese sword samurai artist or like a you used to be some crazy sous chef, right? Maybe you were a sous chef in the past, and so maybe you know the best knives in the world. But there was obviously that big trend of Cutco and agents buying Cutco knives and putting their brand on it. And it's like you realize you're giving your client a weapon. You're giving your client a knife to kill you. A knife in some cultures is the full definition of severing a relationship.
Yeah.
And so I think it is dumb for agents to give people knives. I think depending on the price point of your house that you just made money on, to give someone nothing, I think is a problem.
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen before. To give people a bouquet of flowers when you made $10,000-$20,000. I had my sister got a gift from a realtor. It had the price tag on it. Don't ever give something, and the price tag said $39.99 for a $1.5 million house.
Now, yeah, I got nothing one time.
And I told my sister, I was like, you better not use that realtor ever again. That is absolute trash. So it's not about going overboard. I think it's about meaningful gifts that show you know the person. That is the best gifts. Is after you do business with someone, you get to know their likes, their hobbies, their interests, and so it's not about the price. To an extent, it's about that you give them something that means something to them. It doesn't need to have your brand on it. They will remember it.
I got to add a toy dinosaur to your mix because I would normally be giving toy dinosaurs for closing gifts, but this one was really awesome. It was robotic. It was huge. But the buyer of this house, it was right before Christmas, and I was chatting up their son, who was like 4 years old, super cute and very outgoing. And he let me in on that secret. It was like he was hoping that Santa was going to bring him this incredibly expensive, over-the-top robotic dinosaur. And I knew his parents weren't likely to do that. So I took a chance. I didn't check with them first. I got it. And on Christmas Day, they called me. They're like, you just made Christmas for our son. He is over the moon. And by far, that was the best present he got. You know, it's like exactly what he wanted. Thank you so much. And that's the quintessential best thing you can possibly do is get to know someone. What do people care about? They care about their children. And then what do the children care about? They don't want anything like an adult would want. They want their dinosaurs, right? They're
and they'll be busting out that, like, the great thing about giving children a gift, the children of the parents a gift, is they'll be busting out that gift to play with on a daily basis, and that's going to be a daily reminder that realtor just gave their kid this thing that's going to be a bundle of joy for 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
So here's, because in writing those the 2 books, if you haven't checked them out, go to Amazon, Becoming a Local Leader and Referral Secrets. Those are the names of the 2 books that I wrote with some other agents. It's as cheap as I can offer it, as Amazon will let me. So it's not about making money. And there's tons of strategies in those books. And the one thing that came up over and over and over again was variations of things that agents would give people. from, it sounds archaic, but personal notes works. It just works so well for so many agents. And as a young millennial, it's something that it takes a hard time for me to wrap my head around, because I'm like, I would never think to do that.
Yeah.
But people love these personal notes, handwritten notes. It doesn't cost you a penny except some pen and a paper, and it just
Yeah.
means it's something that it stands out because people don't get them anymore.
I would add that writing them yourself in an authentic way is the difference maker there. I've tried everything because I've been in this for 25 years now. Hard to believe. It started when I was 10. But they have the signature mimicking software where you can send in a sample of your handwriting, and it mimics that and then prints it in blue ink that looks like maybe you wrote it. But it's like, it reminds me of how robots, when they look human, but they're not quite human, creep people out. Like, it's way worse than, like, I forget what that's called, but robots that look like robots, people are like, fine, that's fine. It's a typed note and you signed it. Like, if you don't have the time in your day to actually write something, don't pretend to write something, right? And don't use a template. Hope you're doing great, for every single client. Write something because you got to know them. Like, that's what will protect you going forward from everything that's coming our way that's trying to make real estate automatic, and like you click on a house online like it's Amazon. I mean, I bought a house like that too in Hawaii that I didn't see before I bought, but I trusted the local expert. So that's the difference. If it weren't for that relationship, I wouldn't have done it. I mean, I would have flown there and done it, but I wouldn't have probably flown there in time to compete and snap it up before other people got it. So authenticity, man, it's there's no magic bullet for lead gen that I know of that's better than being authentic. And you're not trying to make everybody happy. You're trying to make people happy that you care about. And you care about them because you have similar, you're wired in a similar way, or or things that are important to them are important to you. It's that's a great tip. Hey, can I add pizza to your list?
Okay, let's go. Tell me more.
I'm using myself from all the dumb ideas, but I was trying to sell this house. People needed more than it was worth. I had some buyers that I brought, and they were almost the best. They're almost offering the most. It was, pretty competitive, but there still is like a $30,000 gap, right? So I'm sitting with the sellers. I'm like, what can we do? What? I'm open to ideas. This is between you and the buyer, right? People are often like, well, why don't you work for nothing? I'm like, that's not sustainable. I feel like, and this may sound pompous, me going out of business to sell one house is not in service to everyone else who I could possibly help for the rest of my life. So no, I don't do that. But they owned a pizza restaurant, and they came up with this brilliant idea. I didn't realize it was brilliant at the time. I'm like, I'll pitch it. I don't think that's a go, but they're like, we'll give them a pizza dinner for 10 people once a week for a year. I'm like, okay, I'll take it to them. So they were over the moon. They loved it. They're like, we love pizza. We love that restaurant. We know that restaurant. And the house was like 5 blocks away. So it was super convenient. I don't know if they'd went every week for a year, but they went a lot. It closed the deal. That made up the entire $30,000 of difference between the offer and the asking price, or not even the asking price, but what the sellers were willing to take. So everybody was super happy. They got to be friends. They for all I know, they're still getting it, even though the year long passed. But I feel confident that that was the best possible solution for that situation, because it's I wish it could be like that more often, but it's unusual to find buyers and sellers who are, what's the nice word for it? Just generous in spirit, right? And they're not fighting to try and one up the other side out of ego. So you have to measure, like, I'm very careful before I let buyers and sellers communicate directly. Even if it's like a note, I want to see it. I don't want, I've spent weeks of my life fixing relationships that got blown up for no good reason because someone got their feelings hurt because they misunderstood what someone was implying. They're not good at it. That's why you need a realtor to buffer everything. And it's professional. It's like, worst case, you get to be friends with somebody on the other side of a deal, and then you ask for something that they think is unreasonable and it hurts their feelings, right? It's just human nature. So I think even I use realtors when I'm buying stuff. I need the buffer and I need someone to like keep me on the path. I mean, this happened last month when I bought a house in Arizona for my son. I was like, I want them to come down 30 grand. The realtor, God bless him, who was helping me, is like, that's totally unreasonable. I want a Lamborghini, but it doesn't mean I'm going to get one. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but pizza, so lead gen, that it got me. I was able to double in that deal with a buyer that didn't have enough money realistically to make an offer on that house. So I don't know if that
Well,
counts as lead gen, but there it is.
well, it's things. So, I mean, we're talking about things agents do that either help them get more clients and close more transactions. Because ultimately, you don't want to generate leads. You want to acquire new clients and close
Mm-hmm.
more transactions. And then dumb things that have potentially wasted time, wasted money, maybe even ruined your reputation, ruined your future ability. Like that's the other thing about dumb ideas is
Yeah.
it's not just a waste of time and money in the short term. It potentially roots your future in the business. And this goes to this one I want to talk about because I see it happening so much now with AI. And I mean, there's been companies since I even started that help realtors post. They're like, we're going to help you post content on your social media. We're going to help you send emails to your database and agents, and only for $30 a month. Only for it's like, look, if it sounds too good to be true, it
Yeah.
probably is because for $30 a month or $100 a month, you're not going to get really great, marketable, professional email and social media posts. You're just not, it's financially not feasible. Even with AI, that company who's selling you the service to create video for you using AI or social posts, it's generic. It's copy and paste. It's all the agents that company work with potentially are sending the same thing to their, and then not only is it literally a waste of, even though it's only $30 a month, $50 a month, $100, it's a waste of money. And what it does is it actually makes you be a commodity and like everyone else. And that starts building your brand as someone who is not different, not better, not unique, doesn't stand out. And these copy and paste, cookie cutter email companies, text companies, social media post companies, video companies that just create really like we had these
Of
clients that
course.
we're doing personal branding for, and they were like, it's so expensive compared to this other company. I'm like, look at what the other company is doing. 0 views, 0 likes. Like
Worse than
it's
that,
just,
man.
and then when people land on your page, it looks like you're just not professional. You look horrible with this
And
content, even though it's happening every day. You look bad, and then yes, our thing is more expensive, but we're sitting down with you. We're creating content live on video. We're editing it. We're putting copy captions. We're coming up with scripts. Yes, that costs more time and money to do, but look at the result. You've got more likes and views and comments on this piece of content than all of the other content combined.
the
And
question, Grant, I think the question really from the company that's offering to do something for you for $30 a month is how much are you willing to pay us to make people that have liked and trusted you in the past unsubscribe forever and opt out of everything you might want to send them from now on? Like the cost of that is it could be easily $1 million in commissions over a career. Like they buy a couple of houses, they refer a couple of friends. In Portland, the commission is, so like in the range of $10,000 a house or higher. And I mean, it adds up. And it's also like your career depends on coming across in a way that people feel is real and caring, and you're going to show up, represent them like they're your family. And that you don't cookie cutter text or email your family, I hope. Do you?
Nope. Right. So yeah, it's like, so, these companies are, it's like, hey, if a realtor who doesn't send email, doesn't do social media, doesn't do texting, doesn't do these things, there's this initial appeal of like, oh my goodness, I can finally do this thing that I know I need to do, and it's only costing me this much money per month. However, the realtor is not thinking about the cost that you're saying. So I love how you put that you really got to think about, yes, there's an investment to make to generate leads and acquire customers, and you want to be as efficient as possible. However, sometimes you can actually spend money and hurt your business.
Yeah, big time. I think this ties into my next idea about
Go for it.
ego and lead gen. So I think the dumbest thing, that one of the top level dumbest things people can do is let their ego get in the way. And that happens, like, that's hard to quantify. You can tell if someone's just super pompous, and yeah, I can't go down that road because people would know who I was talking about. They're so in Portland. There's some people that are so pompous that people are like, "Oh yeah, I've met that person." You don't even need to use the name. So part of it is knowing when to get out of the way. Like, I think to myself when I'm giving advice to clients, one thing that I learned from Byron Katie, just taking her advice from a distance for years, she'll say, ask yourself, what if you're wrong? Like when you hear yourself saying something like in this case, buyers and sellers should not be left alone together in an open house, right? Bad idea. But what if I'm wrong, right? So I had that exact situation. I had an open house. Seller was this amazingly evolved spiritual teacher. Someone had given her the house as a gift. I think it's like right today it'd be like a $3 million house in the nicest part of Portland. This is years ago. And she wouldn't leave. She's like, I want to see the people who are walking through my house. I'm like, okay, we're doing it that way. So I'm already like bending, right? And then this really handsome young doctor came in. He was pretty interested in the house, but he was more interested in the seller than the house, I think. They started chatting, and she turned to me and she said, you can ask everyone else to leave and shut the door on your way out. I'm like, yes, ma'am. Done and done. So the next day, the young doctor reaches out to me and he's like, I'd like you to write up an offer for me. I'm like, okay. I'm just having my mind blown left and right. And went together. There's no snags, nothing unusual. It was like the easiest transaction ever. And I didn't try and figure out if they were dating long term or not after this, but they really liked each other. And I could have insisted that I stay. I mean, I would have just spoiled the whole thing. And that would have been all about me thinking I'm right. And it's all a work in progress. It's all a gray area. Humans are complicated, as there's nothing more complicated in the universe that I know of than a human and their brain. And she wanted to sell to someone she liked, and she really liked this guy, and he really liked her, and he made the offer that we made was full price. It was on the market for 2 days. It's great.
That's awesome. That's a really funny story. It's like, what is the role of the realtor, and how you generate leads is ensuring you actually are playing to that role and not something that you think you should be versus not. You're
Right.
a facilitator, and sometimes the rules need to change based on, and that's where judgment comes in and stuff like that. Okay, so I want to give one of my favorite ideas. I'll give two ideas here. One is a really simple one. We don't have to necessarily mull over too much. It's a really classic one, and I think it still works. And I think people need to still do it. And that's join a business networking group. Just like the BNIs and the chambers and these places, like business owners want to help each other. As a realtor, you're a business owner. You should be friends with other business owners because it's easy to help a business owner. A business owner wants more business. So the more business owners you know, the easier it is to be like, you like this, you should go check out that product, that
Yeah.
service, that business. And your ability to become a referral generator is going to exponentially increase your ability to get referrals. And these business groups of all different kinds, it's not like one is better than the other. It's just you want to find a group of people that you like, that you resonate with, that you want to support, you want to help. Could be one that you make up on your own, could be one that you join in that's already structured, but they absolutely work. But they're not a get-rich-quick scheme whatsoever. But you're a business owner as a real estate professional, and you should have a healthy network of other business owners to help them, because they will want to help you in return. And they themselves meet so many people who then ask them, hey, do you know a realtor? Whether they be a hairstylist, or they be a contractor, or they be an accountant, or a lawyer, or a banker,
Yeah.
people ask people for realtor referrals, and you should have a healthy business network. That one, unless you have a comment you want to go on, you can chime
Are
in
you
on that.
kidding me? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? No. So do you not know that I'm starting my own group on Thursday next week?
No.
So this is another thing, like, what if I'm wrong? I met a person who was talking to me about it, BNI, and I'm like, the first thing I said, and I heard myself saying it, and I'm like, that sounds really unforgiving. I said, BNIs typically, they're a bunch of people who like to chit chat, and they're not succeeding, and they're just hanging out in this group because they have nothing better to do with their time. She's like, I don't think that's always the case. I'm like, yeah, I have no evidence that that's always the case. They must work sometimes or they wouldn't exist, right? So there's a woman in town who started a group called Flourish. She owns a marketing company. So that's a great person to start one of these groups. Started it during COVID, the first one. And now in Portland, she has 17 groups. But and I've been going to these other people's groups, and I decided to start my own because there wasn't one in my neighborhood. And I was thinking, well, how do I choose the best people that I like? I was like, well, I start my own group. So with one exception, that's my wife, everyone I've asked and invited, they've been like, yeah, I'll try it out. Let's come check it out. So she has a very scientific and tried and true method of encouraging people to give referrals, making it really clear that that's the whole point of the group is, well, twofold: to share referrals and to get to know each other in a way that's fun. What a great group, right? What a great thing to found a group on. So now I'm the 16th of 17 groups, and we start next week. And yeah, it's amazing. The group I went to yesterday, because I'm still learning how she wants me to lead these groups, and it's going to be my group. She's made this really clear, but she wants it to be done in a certain way within her framework, which I'm all about. Teach me something new. I love that. I try and be coachable. But the group I went to yesterday morning, they went around and they were reporting how many referrals they had given each person. There were about 35 people. There were over 50 referrals given in a week in that group. And I asked the realtor in the group, like, what's your main source of referrals from here? And he's like, everybody. I've gotten referrals from everybody. There's no one who hasn't given me a referral. I'm like, that's very unusual. And these people love each other. They've been together for years. And it was actually the very first group. So it's just easy. It doesn't cost them anything. They want to give referrals. And even though that's not my group, I gave 3 referrals that same day to people in the group because what they were saying about what they did and what they needed. It's so nice to just have someone say, this week, this is what I'm looking for. Like, I need a new employee. And that triggered something for me. It's like, I know this amazing guy works his tail off twice as hard as anyone else I've ever worked with. He just moved to the country, has his work visa. It's good to go, needs work. Today, he's interviewing. So it's it's fun. I think you're right.
There are
And
there are
I was
three
wrong.
benefits. Yeah, so I think there are three benefits to a great business networking group, or this should be the three benefits of a business network group. One,
Mm,
yes, can you refer each other business? That's the first benefit. The second one is, can you refer each other to products and services and people that you need for your business
right.
to be a better business? It's not even just about getting customers, but actually helping you with your business, which then the third thing is the friendships of other business owners who are on a business owner path. Like, being a business owner and entrepreneur is very different than working for a company, and to be able to have a group of people that you can confide
Exactly
in
right.
and connect with and share your stories with and get advice on, because they might even give you some lead generation ideas, but as well ideas to just be a successful, fulfilled, happy, sustainable, growing business owner, because that is a hard thing to do, and the only people who understand are other business owners. And to
Yeah,
have
it can be
that
lonely.
camaraderie, yeah, to have that camaraderie combined with advice for your business and referrals for your business, those three things, I think, just make business networking groups a staple for every business owner.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
my next idea is something that, if you're a realtor, you know that reviews matter. So online reviews matter. Google reviews matter, because you want to show up in the search engines when people search for real estate, realtor, or whatever term related. And
Yeah.
Google heavily favors showing businesses on Google Maps and in Google who have lots of reviews. And the struggle for many realtors is, one, if you're brand new to the business, you've got no past clients to get reviews from. Two, you may only be doing in the beginning a few years, 3, 6, 10, 12 customers a year, clients a year. How do you start getting hundreds to thousands of reviews like the people who have been in the industry for 10, 20 plus years? And I got this tip from another realtor, because I saw him have over 1,000 reviews. And I said, "You've done over 1,000 transactions?" He goes, "Nope." And I go, "So what's going on here?" He says, "Well, if you think about real estate, people are hiring you. You are the business, your personality, your character, who you are, what you stand for, your values, the kind of experience it is being your friend, being a
Absolutely.
colleague." And so he says, what I do is I get reviews from people who have not been my client, but people who just know me. And I
Hmm.
get them to just talk about what I'm like and the experiences they've had with me, because that is a good review about what it would be like to work with me as a realtor. And that helps me get more reviews, because I know lots of people, and realtors
Right.
typically do know lots of people and get lots of these character reviews. So a really cool strategy is to get character reviews as
Hmm.
well as past client reviews. And then one of the best ways to stimulate someone to write a review about you, if we remember the reciprocity being the number one form of influence, is to write reviews.
Right.
So if you go write a review about someone that you want to write a review about you, go be the leader, initiate, give a review to them. They want reviews too, whether it be on LinkedIn or on Google. Go give reviews to people where
Mm.
they want a review, and then ask them, after you've given something to them, "Hey, I'm looking to build my reputation online. We're friends. Can you please write a review over here?" And it will happen, and that will help you build your online presence.
Yeah. Can I add to that? Because I love how we're in sync. You and I are an example of what happens when you find someone that you love working with. You could be saying things and I'd be like, if you're someone else, I'd be like, oh God, that'll never work. But these are all great ideas. I just got a tip, actually a tip from one realtor that expedites this, because there's a mental block that people have, like a review. That's like a letter of recommendation. That's going to take me at least an hour. I'm going to have to, what if I do it wrong? They just don't do it. There's a company called, this company, Zappy Cards. It like
Heard of them. Mm-hmm.
yeah, you like touch it to your phone and it takes you instantly right to where it's like, how many stars 5, hopefully. Otherwise, don't write a review. Call them and talk to them personally about what you're unhappy about, right? So 5 stars, and this is where you type in 30 characters for it to count or something. I don't know, pick a number. And I timed it. The woman who talked to me about this had one, of course. And I'm like, can I see that? And I tapped it to my phone. I started my timer on my watch. It took me less than a minute. And then she got it. She's like, wait, you're not my client. I'm like, no, but I know you. And that's what I talked about. She's like, thanks. Even though she had the card, she wasn't using it for character reviews. So that's something that not a lot of people don't know. And the other thing that's a hesitation that I've found is that realtors, like, they're just trying to get through the deal. Like, get through the deal, close, everything's good, everybody's happy, okay, phew, we can relax. And then the next week, when the person's moving, terrible time to ask them for a review. It's awkward. Like, it's an extra phone call, like, hey, I want something. I want you to do something that you're going to think is going to take an hour. It's awkward. Maybe you don't know what to say. Like, I know one realtor actually writes his own reviews and has his clients sign them, which I think is creepy. So I'm not doing that. It takes a minute. And if you have the card, you could be like, you catch them either right before closing or at the closing table when they're super excited. Like, hey, I loved working with you. I'd love to work with more people like you. I've found that people that I enjoy being with, it turns out that their friends are similar to them. I'd love just for you to know that anytime you have someone who has a real estate question, I don't care if they hire me. I'll help them every way I can. And one thing that helps get the word out, so I don't have to knock on doors or cold call, God forbid. If you tap this to your phone, and they're like, what? And it taps and then opens the link, and they're like, oh, like, if you could write a review, hopefully 5 stars, or let me know if there's something I could have done better personally. It takes a minute. And you catch them when they're just super psyched before they get overwhelmed with moving, right? It's a huge mistake. And I'm just adopting this as of 3 days ago. So,
Well, I know we can go on forever, and this is, I think, why people should join your team and work with you if they're in the Portland area, maybe not even Portland, just all Oregon.
yeah.
All of Oregon. If you're a realtor and you want a good mentor and coach to help you in this industry, Charles is wonderful, and Epic is this new brokerage he's with that offers, I think, way more than most brokerages or all brokerages, especially for like the new modern agent in this kind of day and age. Then you definitely should reach out to Charles and potentially work with him so you can then continue to learn from him, because again, like, I have got way more ideas, but we can't go through all of them without boring everyone. And then, when clients work with me, the one feedback I used to get over the years, which is what I wanted, was just like, hey, you're like a broker. Like, working with Grant and working with Hilo is like, you do more for me than my brokerage does, because most people are not with necessarily.
Yeah.
And it's because I go, well, yeah, if you work with me, my goal is to grow your business. Now, yes, I have all these technologies and systems to help you do that, but at the end of the day, like, I have coaching calls every week. We have masterminds every month, and it's just like, whatever you need. I've worked with thousands, probably over 10,000 agents in different capacities over the years, in coaching and speaking and mentoring and stuff like that. And I've just seen the good, the bad, the ugly, what works, what doesn't work. And so when agents just talk to me about their business, no matter what the topic is, if it's about how to grow their business, I can help. So do you have one more that you want to share before we wrap up?
Coaching your sellers what to do and what not to do. They need help, right? I did have one. The worst and most embarrassing thing I've dealt with on an initial open house that comes to mind that I can talk about in a recorded fashion. I get to do the open house, and I'm like, that's a weird smell. The seller had decided that it would be smart to put compost all over the front and back gardens on the morning of the open house. So it smelled like a cow barn. It was I mean, it made your eyes water. It was extreme. I was like, I was on the fence. Like, should I cancel it? Like, I'd gone around the day before. I'd let people know. I'd given special invitations to come early to the neighbors. When I do open houses, I do them upright. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna let it ride, and hopefully the wind will pick up. But it was the same reaction from everyone who walked in. They're like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Bad timing," but the gardens are gonna grow like crazy. Looking for the silver lining. Anyway,
Oh,
you might want them to check with you before they make any significant decisions
it's funny.
immediately before.
I had a funny story selling my house recently that
Mm,
was very similar to like what's going on here. So it's a rental property. So I have a rental property. There's two houses on one lot. You know, two groups of dudes in each house in their 20s, and they love renting. It's a good price because there's rent control where we are. So they've been there for 2-3 years. So they have a really good rent compared to like what market rate would be for the same house. So they don't want to move, and they're like the perfect tenants for these kinds of house, right? So it's a
right.
1960s home, so it's an old home. It's not the nicest home, and so, like, who would be great tenants for this? There's not like going to be white collar professionals. It's
Yeah.
a dudes,
They're not gonna
you
expect too
know,
much.
and then same with the carriage house. And so the seller comes or the buyer comes, and our tenants are worried that like if someone buys this house because we tell them like we're having showings, they're like worried they're going to get kicked out.
Right.
And so then the buyers come, and so the guys, we know this, they chose to just all stand outside and pre-hotbox the house and then stand outside and continue to smoke blunts. So the buyer was like, I want to buy this, but you need to kick out your tenants. I don't want anything to do with it. And like, because the buyer doesn't know, I'm like, these people have paid on time. Like they're actually really great tenants.
Right. What were they
And
thinking?
and
They-
because they were afraid, and I forgot to tell my tenants. I was like, guys, this buyer wants to keep you. They don't want to kick you out. They actually want tenants for
Yeah.
years. They don't want to
Yeah. Yeah.
redevelop but we forgot to tell them that, and so they thought they were going to get kicked out, and so they were actually doing whatever they could to actually like push the
Spoil the
buyer away.
sale. Yeah.
And so then we're like, no, buyer, like these are great tenants because like think about this house quality. Who is going to rent here? These guys are actually the type of renters, and yes, they smoke some
Yeah.
weed, but they're actually really great people, really nice. They pay on time, and so like we showed them proof they do this, and then I said you just need to talk to them and connect with them, and then they did. They're like, okay, you're right. These guys are actually really nice. They just were scared of losing their home,
What a
and
reaction.
so it all
Oh my
worked
God.
out.
Cool.
They put in the offer. It's accepted. So that's a recent real estate success story for
Awesome.
a deal that almost went sideways.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, sometimes you have to pay handsomely to get renters to behave long enough to sell a house and
Yeah.
then encourage them to hope and pray and trust that they're going to get to stay. Just there's no reason not to look for that if you have a competitive situation. Like, why throw people out if you don't have to? You can look for a buyer who wants that. It's a great match.
All right, well, let's cut it there. That's the pod. There was tons of amazing advice there. Hope you guys all took notes. A blog will come out summarizing all the topics we talked about, as well as you can follow us on social media for clips. You can watch the full thing on YouTube, Spotify. I highly recommend subscribe, get the notifications because we're going to continue to come out with really great content every week. And the more subscribers we get, the better we can make this so that potentially I'm not in some weird room that I gotta talk quiet with some nursing thing going on beside me. I need your subscribers so I can sit in a proper office. But we appreciate that, and we'll continue to bring you the goods. Thanks, Charles. Let's
Thank
cut it
you.
there. Have a
Thanks,
great
guys.
day, everyone.